Lola Haskins. Lola Haskins is a local treasure. She has published 11 collections of poems, including her award-winning book, The Grace to Leave, plus a poetry advice book and a nonfiction book about 15 Florida cemeteries. Her work has appeared in many publications, including The Atlantic, the London Review of Books, the New York Quarterly, and her poems have been broadcast on NPR and BBC radio. Her environmental pieces are to be found in Visions of Florida and The Wild Heart of Florida, I love that book, in Eco Poetry, Book of the Everglades, and in Unspoiled. She serves on the board of the Florida Defenders of the Environment and has worked on outreach to schools with Cinema Verde. Lola Haskins is an American poet, but we claim her as our region's poet laureate. Her voice, her performances, and her beauty grace us. Please help me welcome Lola Haskins.
I have to hold it. There, that's better. First of all, let me tell you how extremely, wildly humble I feel standing up here. And I would like to thank you other three, and I admire you so much. And I would like to thank Annie and all my friends who work with Annie, and everybody else who has contributed in his or her own way to this whole movement. This poem came from, I wrote it for a project called Unspoiled, the goal of which was to give every member of the legislature a book which described how much Floridians care about the Gulf of Mexico. There were 2 poems in the book, mine and this incredible 8-year-old girl's named Grace. She was amazing. Now, when I tell you this poem, I want you to keep in mind that I wrote this 4 months before the spill. Okay? And mine happened to be the only thing in the whole book that mentions spills. It's very odd. There are acts not worth the risk, like sending our toddlers across busy streets alone. Perhaps nothing of ours would slick the Gulf. No black goo coat the feathers of staggering birds. Nothing clot the sand our toddlers love to mound. Perhaps we'll never wake to brown beaches. But what if we did? I think of Cedar Key and fine days kayaking against the wind. And I remember how it felt to land on the farthest scrub and know that the Gulf stretches from Texas to Mexico, but none of its despoilation bears our name. I ask you, what is it worth to drive a mile a penny cheaper? I say, not this. I say there are places best left holy. I say if we cannot save this water, there will be no other. I say if when the money is clamoring around us we do not yield, then they will come. And they will lie down on our white sands and remark to each other, shading their eyes, how beautiful Florida is. And we will smile inside, knowing how gladly we paid the price, and think, yes, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't deserve credit for that, you know. It just came. I wrote this poem a long time ago. It's about canoeing from the Itchitucknee into the Santa Fe into the Swanee. Some of you have probably done that. And this is Steve Earle's beautiful picture. The clear Itchitucknee fingers into the dark red Santa Fe, where wrist-thick moccasins S along and alligators surface and disappear, or drag their bellies up the muddy shore. We have forgotten who we were, young and eager, kissing through the telephone. The Swanee is in no hurry, has rocked all the humming afternoon. Now she takes 2 yarns from the basket at her side and with long white needles begins to knit. The low sun glints on the tips of her flying. Across her broad lap, something wonderful begins. Thank you. I took myself for a hike, and this is indications. My poems have to do with, it isn't only water. We're talking about water. There are birds and creatures and plants, and there are all kinds of things that you lose if you lose the water. So just something to think about. And so this was a land hike. I didn't walk on water. Hardly. An indigo snake quickens its curve and vanishes into palmettos. 3 wood ducks rise off a tiny red-brown creek, ruffling the water behind them. Turkeys hurry across the trail, their necks stretched ahead, as if that could move their heavy bodies faster. A deer hesitates, then bounds away. The wind does not care for any of this, but goes on playing the tops of the trees the way a man plays a woman. When the forest opens to field, it will bend the long grasses to its pleasure. I would be the grass. I would lie down like that. Thank you. Now, this is pretty amazing. Ron Franklin, who worked for UF for many years, I don't think he's here. I would have seen him. Anyhow, he photographed Lake Alice for 40 years. And these pictures were taken over that long. And these are very, very, very small poems. You'll see. All the poems I wrote before the pictures, except these. The waters of the lake neither begin nor end. You are a monk, transfixed by the great bell of dawn. How small, confronting morning, are your wings. An arched claw and its liquid twin. Pas de deux for one. The silence between twigs. Songs asleep on their mats. Along Alice's broad halls, portraits of royalty. This is called writing in China, you have to know that. Each character, a white bird. You in his beak, bright green, a moment. As the heron lifts it free, the fish, this is called enlightenment, I should have told you. As the heron lifts it free, the fish suddenly understands. Some days, everything itches. You see the insect inside the flower, right? If not now, when? The lake has eaten fire. Quietly, the ibises roost. So that's the lake. That's some of them. Thank you. Thank you very much. Y'all are more generous than I've earned, but I'll take it. So, I've thought a lot about the natural world, and one thing is that we want to own it. We want to be in it. We want to walk in it. We want to experience it. And yet, so here we all know about the sandhill cranes. There are sandhill cranes in every room in my house. I'm obsessed with them. The blue air fills with cries. The cranes are streams, rivers. They danced on the night prairie, leapt at each other, quivering. The long bones of sandhill cranes know their next pond. Not us. When something is too beautiful, we do not have the grace to leave. So this is when a friend of mine and I put his canoe into Prairie Creek at 11:30 p.m. in the middle of June. And it was dark. Our canoe slides easily into Prairie Creek. In a few strokes, something slick and flapping lands on my bare toes. I lean over the side, lay it back. It wiggles once, then disappears. There's no moon, only a million fireflies. We've entered the lake now, to thread our half-blind way through hyacinths. Past cypress after looming cypress, their knees gathered around them. The air's gone loud, churs, thweeps, quawks. Somewhere in the far dark, a gator bellows. Great dim wings cross our bow. Every moment, Chris, we are alive. Every moment. Thank you. We have waters from one end of the state to the other, and all kinds of different waters. So you might guess what the subject of this is. Do you have any idea? No. Anyhow, so this is Prayer for the Everglades. A gumbo limbo swoons in the arms of an oak. A royal palm, smooth as sunless skin, rises against blue. In this whole untouched world, there seems only wind, the grass, and us. Now, silent lines of wood storks appear, their white wings edged black. Here is a mathematical question for your evenings. How many moments like this make a life? But if it were not true, what if the glades were a dream, written on the walls of caves, so that anthropologists peering into the darkness could say only, it must have been lovely then, when grass flowed under the sun like a young woman's falling hair? What if none of it were true? What if you and I walked all our afternoons under smoke and never saw beyond? What if the tiny algae that velvet the water, the gators that pile like lizards on the banks, the ibis with her sweet curved bill? What if the turtles that plop off their logs like little jokes? What if the sheltering mangroves? Oh, what if? Look up, friend, and take my hand. What if the wood storks were gone? Thank you.